Om Bhadram Karneभिः Shrinuyama Devaः Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraः Sthirairangaistushtvagum sastanubhiः Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuः Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. First verse of chapter 3, Advaita Prakarana, the chapter on non-duality. Upāsanāśrito dharmo, please repeat. Upāsanāśrito dharmo, jāyate brahmani vartate, jāyate brahmani vartate, prāgutpatterajam sarvam, prāgutpatterajam sarvam. Tenasau kripana smritaha, tenasau kripana smritaha. So the spiritual seeker who performs devotional exercises, does something as praiseworthy as worshipping God, subsists in the conditioned Brahman or the created Brahman or the projected Brahman. All this was but the birthless Brahman before creation. That's what this person thinks. And such a person, hence such a person is considered pitiable or narrow or limited. Kripanaha. Harsh words indeed for somebody who is religious, devoted. Why? What's going on here? Let's see. I'm just giving you the background to this chapter, what we did last time, very quickly summarizing. This is the worldview which we have already learned. So I'll quickly go through it, but by now I think we are in the third chapter, so everybody should have it down pat. You know, the knowledge of the self leads to liberation. The self has four aspects. Three aspects are known to us: waking, dreaming, deep sleep. And the fourth one, the Turiyam, is the reality that the Upanishad talks about. So this is the basic worldview. What are the four aspects of the self? First, waker and the waking world, or the waker's world. Second, the dreamer. By dreamer, I mean the dreamer which we are used to, not the political discourse which is going on now, the dreamers, this is not that kind. Dreamer means we, when we dream, and the dream world. Third, deep sleeper. The potential world, or merged world, or the deep sleep darkness. So this is the idea of self. Means ātmā. First aspect, second aspect, third aspect. When the Upanishad talks about the fourth aspect, Turiyam. Turiyam also literally means fourth. This is Brahman, the ultimate reality, Brahman. Pure consciousness, pure bliss, pure being, the fourth aspect. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And we have read that this is our reality which appears as these. Now notice certain factors about these three. These three are known to us. This is what we experience our life as. We experience our life as waking, just now. I am awake and you are experiencing this world. Advaita Vedanta always related to your experience. That's the beauty and power of Advaita Vedanta. It's talking about your experience right now. So you are the waker and your waking world, and we as the dreamer and our dreams, and in deep sleep, the blankness. Why do I call it the potential world? Because you remember, all of this again comes back. It's not erased or nothingness in deep sleep. It comes back again. So it's there in a seed form. And notice Notice three features of all of these. All of them, they share three features in common. One is cause and effect. It's a causal universe. This potential state, this is called the causal state. This is called the subtle, causal, subtle. Do you remember? Gross or physical? Which genius is that? Just see. So cause and effect. One thing creates the other. In this world, the cosmic creator, God, has created this physical world, the subtle world and the physical world. Remember, in this paradigm, there is the individual and the total. You are the individual and here is the total. So not only are you the consciousness associated with one body and mind, but we also conceive of a consciousness associated with all bodies and minds, which is God. The individual is you, and there is God who is the consciousness behind the entire universe, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. And God also, we can talk about at three levels. The causal level, really what is called God in religion is the causal level. In Sanskrit, Ishvara with Maya. At the subtle level, what we call the cosmic mind. And at the physical, at the gross level, the vast universe, Virat, the cosmic person. So that is the creator of this entire universe. Cause and effect relationship is there. Even in our little individual level, our deep sleep is like the causal material from which emerges the subtle material of our dreams and the gross material of our worldly experience. I'm using words very carefully. Because if I say from your deep sleep blankness emerges a universe, you might say that's too much to believe, too much to swallow. But I'm saying all your experiences, the experience of this physical universe and the experience of the dream universe and the blankness in deep sleep, they are connected somehow. It's the same thing. In the deep sleep, it is not expressed. In the subtle, in the dream state, it is partially expressed, and in this physical state, it's most manifest. But it's the same thing. It has a cause-effect relationship. Same thing is manifested in this way, like clay into pots. Imagine the deep sleep to be like a lump of clay, and your dreams and your waking to be a dream, maybe just a plan, the blueprint of a pot or an unbaked pot, and the physical universe like the baked pot. So like that. So there is causality there, cause and effect. Causality. Another feature of these three is change. Physical universe, we are subject to birth and death and growth and decay and aging, the creation and destruction. All of this happens, change happens in these three levels, right? Even the levels keep changing. From deep sleep to a dream to waking and to back again. So the change keeps happening. These are all of our experience is subject to change. Our physical bodies are subject to change. Our thoughts are subject to change. Our personalities are subject to change. The universe is continuously changing. So these three are the domain of change. Another feature for these three is that you have duality here. Subject-object duality is always present here. Waker in the waker's world, dreamer in the dream world, even deep sleep. It may not be an expressed duality. I am experiencing deep sleep. We don't have such an experience. But it's definitely the seed of duality is there because we come back from that deep sleep into this dual experience. These three taken together, causality, change and duality taken together is what is called samsara. This is a philosophical way of expressing samsara. And this is the realm of samsara. And the result of this samsara is suffering, is dukkha. Suffering. From cause I came to effect. Perfect God to an imperfect universe. Cause to effect. Samsara. Causality. Karma. Karma is causality. Causality is law of, in fact, one of the prime features of causality is the law of karma. So we are trapped in the law of karma. All our present experiences are due to the accumulated effects of our past karma. We are sort of trapped in there. You might say, no, we also have the freedom to create our future. By the law of karma, what we do now, it generates a future experiences, good and bad. Yes, but that also leads to anxiety, responsibility. What I will do now, if the weight is upon me, I have not done a very good job till now. So I don't see, my track record is not particularly good. So I don't see myself doing brilliantly in the future also. So heavy weight of responsibility. As Vivekananda says, good, good, bad, bad, and none escape the law. But whosoever wears the form wears the chain too. What is the chain? The chain of causality. We call it karma. In fact, many dualistic philosophies, the bhakti schools, they say the nature of bondage is karma, and by the grace of God you come out of karma. So karma, causality, leads to samsara. Change is the very nature of samsara. Buddhism is very big on this. Anityam, anityam, sarvam anityam. Everything is dukkha, suffering. Why? Because anityam, anityam, sarvam anityam. Anitya means impermanent, impermanent, all is impermanent. And so change leads to samsara, you see. Change is also samsara. Duality is samsara. In Upanishads it is said, Dvitiyad vai bhayam bhavati. When there is an other, samsara starts. You relate to it in fear, in hope, in expectancy, or in indifference. Relationship develops when there is duality, and samsara starts for you. So all of this, in fact, he says that fear, dvitiyad vai bhayam bhavati, fear and anxiety is due to the presence of the other. In fact, the worst of nightmares, when you wake up from it, you dismiss it as, oh, it was just a dream. Why? Because all those terrible things never happened, all those monsters you saw never were there, they were nothing other than your own mind. Since they are not different from you, you're not afraid of it anymore. So a second always, duality leads to samsara. Causality, change, duality leads to samsara. Okay? And samsara leads to misery, unhappiness, suffering. The word used here is kripana. Kripana literally means a miser. It means the unfortunate one, the suffering one, the samsari, the one who is suffering in samsara. So this is the summary of what I just said now is how the Mandukya Upanishad looks at our life. Your life is waking, dreaming, deep sleep. These are the features of your life. This is called samsara. Therefore, you are a samsari. What's the problem? The problem is kripanaha. Suffering, unhappiness, unfulfillment. And there seems to be no end to it. There seems to be no possibility of anything better than this. It will just go a little better, a little worse. Do a lot of good karma. If the blessings of God are upon you, things will go well for you. The stock market will rise, health will be all right, children will be nice. And things don't go well for you, everything comes crashing down. So, kripanaha, the small one, the limited one, the unfortunate one, the suffering one. This is the picture where first three aspects of the self, and the fourth one, Turiyam, pure consciousness, the one in which all of these are appearing. What did the Upanishad say? This is real, these are the appearances. Notice the difference between this and those. That is within causality. This is non-causal. It is neither a cause nor an effect. See, these are effects. This is a gross effect, this is a subtle effect, and this is the cause. In the first three aspects. I am going fast, knowing that you are all well versed Mandukya, well versed in the Mandukya Upanishad. So I am moving fast. We have gone through this many times over the last 1 year. This is the causal level, these are the effect levels. This one is neither cause nor effect. God is the cause of the universe. That's why in theistic religions, God is called creator. We are called the created creatures, created, and God is the creator, or God is the cause and the world is the effect. That's how it is thought of in dualistic religions. Or those who do not believe in God at all, non-theistic, scientific approach. So there is a big bang which is the cause and the effect is all that we see around us. There was a bang and here is the mess. So this is the story of the universe in one sentence. But Turiyam is non-causal. It did not become this. This deep sleep state becomes the waking, becomes the dreaming. But Turiyam does not become these. Turiyam only appears as these ones. Turiyam remains the Turiyam. Then non-causal. Another thing is, it is non-changing, unchanging. Third one is, it is non-dual, Advaitam. Non-dual. Non-dual. Turiyam is non-dual. Why? Because from the point of view of Turiyam, these 1, 2, 3 are appearances. It's not that there are 1, 2, 3 and 4. Remember, how can you say that it's non-dual, not 2, when you are already counting 4? What is the answer? 1, 2, 3 are not to be counted with the 4. No more than you would count 3 cookies you ate in a dream and 1 cookie in the waking state. Would you count 4 cookies? No. The 4th which you ate in the waking is the only one which you will count, and the other 3 are not to be counted. Or the wave and the water example which I gave, thousands of waves. But if you look at it as water, one reality. Why? Why not one water and thousands of waves? No, because those thousands of waves do not exist without the water. It is the water alone which is those thousands of waves. So similarly, or in your dream, hundreds of people, thousands of people whom you are meeting, talking, when you wake up, one person, the person on the bed who just woke up. So those thousands are not in addition to you, they are you. And you did not become those thousands of people, they appeared in your mind. Similarly, the waking, dreaming and deep sleep, they appear in Turiyam. They are mithya, this is satyam, real. So it is non-dual. Because it is non-causal, unchanging and non-dual, it is not samsara, it is asamsari, it is called moksha. Moksha, this is freedom, that is bondage. Samsara, moksha. Because it is moksha, it is not kripana, akarpaṇyam. It is not limited, it is not the unfortunate, miserable, limited, it is the infinite, akarpaṇyam. Sanskrit, akarpaṇyam. Kripana means the limited. Literally in Indian languages, kripana means the miser, the small one. So we are the small one when we are samsari. So when are we samsari? When we are in samsara. I'm working backwards now. What is samsara? Causality, change and duality. Where do you find it? In waking, dreaming and deep sleep. Waking and dreaming are the effect condition, and deep sleep is the causal condition. Cause and effect is here. Obviously change is here. And duality, subject-object duality and all kinds of duality are here. God and individual duality. The difference between you and others, the difference between you and God, the difference between subject and object, between self and the other. These are all duality. This is here in the first 3. And in contrast to that, Turiyam, the 4th, the real self, is non-causal. It's neither a cause nor an effect. It is not changing, unchanging. It is not dual, it is non-dual, Advaitam. This is the background. This is the summary. On the basis of this, now Gaudapada says in the opening verse of the 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter is the chapter on non-duality. So non-duality here he means he's going to talk about Turiyam here. What was the 2nd chapter about? About the falsity of the world. That means these 3 are false. They are appearances. Here it is going to talk about the non-duality of the self. Now, on the basis of this background, Gaudapada says that in this world, remaining in this world, jāyate brahmani, in the projected or manifested or created Brahman. What is the created Brahman? Waking and dreaming. This physical world and this gross world and subtle world, this one which we are, this is the projected, created. In Sanskrit it is called srishti. Remaining in this and thinking of oneself as a small kripana, as a small one, and worshipping God who is separate from you, and hoping pragutpatte rajam sarvam, before this was created, in the causal state, all was one with God and all was well. God is in his heaven and all is well. It was a heavenly state, it was the uncreated state. Everybody, we were all one in God. Potential state. And one day it will all be like that. Not only that, by my worship, by my devotion, by my belief, by my surrender, I will attain to that merger with God. I will become one with the cause. And then it will be all right. Samsara will be at an end. I will be one with God. Remember, this is not what he suggests, what he is recommending. This is what he is criticizing. This is the belief of the dualist. This is the belief of the theist who does not understand non-duality. And this Gaudapada criticizes harshly. This is the very nature of the kripana, the one who is in samsara. If you go back to the seed state, you will sprout again. If you go back to the causal level, the effect will come again. You are still trapped there because you are still thinking of yourself as a separate little individual. Kripana smita, such a person is called the small one, the unfulfilled one. Imagine, in this level, the best that can be said is to become a devotee and worship God. That's the best state in dualism, in duality. That best state itself Gaudapada is criticizing here. So should we not believe in God? It's much worse. A theistic dualist is what he is criticizing here. An atheistic dualist is even worse. At least a theistic dualist is in touch with God in some way. Has got some kind of belief, though it may be a lower kind. What Gaudapada is not denying here is this kind of approach of worshipping God, loving God, surrendering to God can be a step. In non-dualism, can be a step towards non-dualistic realization. As a step, it is all right. As a goal and the final conviction, it is a miserable thing. You say it's a very harsh word to say. Let us say it. I have seen any number of dualists, any number of theists being quite fanatical about their narrow and little views. So let's be a little straightforward about the truth. This is the background. Now what I just said, let me say again, but quickly in Sanskrit. Let me use the Sanskrit words. What are the Sanskrit words? Ātmā has 4 padas, chatushpad ātmā. Exactly the same thing. Now I am saying in Sanskrit. See if you, those who don't know the terms, see if you can follow, and you should be able to follow. We have heard these terms again and again. Ātmā has 4 padas, 4 aspects. Each pada, see, one is the sthula, this is called the jagrat, where you have the waker. What is the Sanskrit? Give me. Vishwa. And the jagrat prapancha, the waker's world. The second one is the sukshma, subtle. Give me the name of the self. Taijasa and the sukshma prapancha. Jagrat prapancha, sukshma or swapna prapancha, the dream world. And then the deep sleeper. What is the name of the self in deep sleep? Prajna. And this is called karana prapancha or sushupta prapancha. Sushupta prapancha or karana prapancha. These are the 3 padatraya. They are all under causality, karya karana. Karya karana is causality. This third aspect is karana, causal, is the causal state. And the second and first aspects are karyam, effect. I'll repeat. The third one is causal, karana. Ishvara is karana. And sthula and sukshma prapancha are karyam, effect. And they are all subject to change. Savikara. Savikara, they are all subject to change. Continuous change is there. Savikara means subject to modification, change. Birth, death, growth, aging, decay, change. Creation, destruction, change. And they are all subject to duality, Dvaitam. Because these first three are Karya Karana, Savikara and Dvaitam, they are called, the first three are called Samsara. Yesterday there was somebody, I hope she's not here. I got thoroughly scolded for having this class at 4 o'clock. I said, 4 o'clock? Who does that? What are you thinking? 4 o'clock? Because people have jobs, they can't come. So I said, yeah, we'll consider shifting it to 7:30, but not now, not in winter. Let's see in summer. If, of course, those who are already coming, you get the first vote, whether it should be shifted to 7:30. But she said, what were you thinking? 4 o'clock?
It's better for people who come from far away.
That's true. And people who are coming here, so don't worry, I won't change it without consulting you. So last year we took a vote and everybody, majority voted for keeping it at 4. So, Karya Karana, Savikara, Dvaita, these three are Samsara. And those who are in this, who consider themselves to be within this, are called Samsari. And the result of Samsara is Karpaṇyam Kripanaha. In contrast to this, I'm just repeating what I said in Sanskrit. In contrast to this, Turiyam, Chaturthapada, the fourth aspect, our real nature, is Karya Karana Vilakshana, separate from cause, separate from effect, is neither cause nor effect. Karya Karana Vilakshana ātmā is Nirvikara, without any change, beyond change, is Advaitam, non-dual. Karya Karana Vilakshana Nirvikara Advaitam. Therefore, Turiyam is Moksha, freedom. Because it is Moksha, it is Akarpaṇyam. It is free of limitation. It is the infinite. It is the vast. It is freedom itself. It is the goal of humanity. It is the goal of our lives. Goal means we are that to realize it. Swami Vivekananda, I saw it very beautifully. He writes in a letter, I pray that all should be free. All should be free. I pray for everybody. I should pray. You see, this very thing, how he puts it, I pray that all should not be led hither and thither by the effects of accumulated karma. This one. This is literally kripana, that they should not be whirled around like this. I pray that we should all be free, that is, know that we are free. I can repeat it endlessly. He says, I pray that we should all be free, that is, know that we are free. We are already free. We are already this Turiyam. Akarpaṇyam. That is why he criticizes somebody who insists on being a waker, one individual among billions of individuals. That's my final identity, not an appearance. This is the truth. And there is a God whom I shall take refuge in, and that God will rescue me from this. I will one day merge with that God, become one with that God. Pragutpatte rajam sarvam, things will be all right. If you become one with the cause, if you fall asleep, you will wake up. If you become one with the cause, the effect will come. If you merge with the seed, it will sprout one day. It will be back again. All right. Now let us go ahead. Verse number 2 onwards. So this is the state. He has, first number 1, he has criticized conventional religion. What does he suggest in lieu of that? What is his suggestion then? What is Gaudapada's point of view then? Because the way he puts the first verse, the way he puts it, most people in most religions of the world, most religious people would identify with that. That's what we think about. I believe in God, I surrender to God, I worship God within the hope of heaven, in the hope of not being consigned to hell. Exactly what Gaudapada calls a kripana, the miserable one. In contrast to that, what is Gaudapada's idea of spirituality? Number 2. Ato vakṣyāmyakārpaṇyam, ato vakṣyāmyakārpaṇyam, ajāti samatāṃ gatam, ajāti samatāṃ gatam, yathā na jāyate kiṃcit, yathā na jāyate kiṃcit, jāyamānaṃ samantataḥ, jāyamānaṃ samantataḥ. Hence I shall speak of that Brahman which is free from limitation, has no birth, and is in a state of homogeneity. And listen how nothing whatsoever is born in any way, though it seems to be born. So it's a statement of purpose. What is he going to do in this chapter? Ato vakṣyāmi. Hence I shall speak. Hence I shall speak. Hence we shall speak of the infinite. Hence, whence? Because of this, because of samsara, I shall speak now of moksha. Because you are trapped in causality, I shall speak of the non-causal. Jāyate brahmani, the causal Brahman, cause and effect. Ajāti here means non-causal, unborn, not created. Because you are trapped in changing, anityam, the changing world. The result of change is samsara, dukkha. Bhagavan Buddha said, anityam sarvam anityam, kshanikam sarvam kshanikam, shunyam sarvam shunyam, ataha dukkam sarvam dukkam. Transient, indeed everything is transient. Temporary, momentary, indeed everything is momentary. Empty, all is empty, or void, all is the void. Hence, all is suffering, all is suffering. All is suffering is samsara. And the one who suffers the samsari, the special term used is kripana. A special award given to you, title given to this kripana. He says, hence we shall speak of the infinite. Because you are trapped in the causal, we shall speak of the non-causal. Because you are trapped in the changefulness, we speak of that which is beyond change. Because you are trapped in duality, I am going to speak of the non-dual. You are trapped in samsara, I am going to speak about moksha. Akarpaṇyam, he says here, vakṣyāmyakārpaṇyam. I shall speak of, because you are a kripana, we are going to speak about akarpaṇyam, beyond kripana. What a grand statement of purpose. Let us not speak of small things anymore. Even God is a small thing for him. We're going to speak about something beyond in the individual and beyond man and God, beyond heaven, earth and hell. We're going to speak about reality itself, not about finite things, about infinity itself. We are going to speak, and when is this thing going to happen? The heaven is something in the future. It's going to happen in the future. This is now and forever. Heaven is a different place. That's also limited. Somewhere. It is not somewhere. It is everywhere or here. What are you talking about? Some other thing called God. Here we are not talking about some other thing called God. We are talking about you yourself. So not limited by time, space and object, desha, kala, vastu. Such a self we are going to talk about. Akarpaṇyam, the unlimited, the not small. Also remember, vakṣyāmi, I shall speak of. Why speak of it? It needs to be spoken of. Samsara does not have to be taught. To become samsari, you don't have to attend a class at 4 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. We automatically get the status of a suffering samsari, that this kripana, this limited being, the unfortunate one, the suffering one, we have earned it. Lifetime after lifetime of dedicated effort, we have earned it. So it doesn't have to be spoken about. But that which is unlimited, it has to be pointed out, it has to be spoken of. That which is our real self, not the apparent self, that has to be spoken about. These three do not have to be spoken about. We know them. That has to be spoken about. We don't know it yet. Somebody asked, many times this question is asked, if I am that already, then why should I meditate? If I am that already, why should I study Vedanta or do any spiritual practice, whatever? Any spiritual practice, meditation, Vedanta, why? The crucial phrase is, if I am that. Do you already know that you are that? If you really think that you are that, if you have realized that you are that, you are convinced, it's very clear to you, and it has given its effect, you have become akarpanyam, gone beyond suffering, then you need not meditate. You need not come to a class at 4 o'clock. So that's true. But until we know that, we must study, we must try to find out, we must practice. And for that the teacher says, ato vakṣyāmyakārpaṇyam. Hence we shall speak of the infinite, the non-limited. Okay, so far? Now, what is this infinite akarpanyam? Look at the words he uses. Ajati samatāṃ gatam. Ajati means unborn, the not born. Not born means which is not within causality. Not within causality. This is born. What is born? The subtle universe is born. The gross universe is born. And the causal universe is not born, but it gives rise to those. So it's within birth and death. It's within causality. This is within causality. Ajati, Brahman, another name for Brahman is Ajati, he gives it. He contrasts it with, look in the first verse, jāyate Brahmani, the projected Brahman. This is also Brahman. This is also Brahman. The snake is also the rope. The rope itself appears as the snake. So this is also Brahman. But what Brahman is this? This is the projected, the appearance, the false. This is called Jata Brahman, the product Brahman. And this is the causal. So we shall speak about the cause. This is not the causal, this is non-causal. Neither cause nor effect. This is the effect, this is the effect, this is the cause. The cause, effect, effect. Gross effect, subtle effect, cause. This is Jata Brahma and this is Ajati. We shall speak about the Ajati, non-causal. Samatāṃ gatam, it translates as homogeneous. Homogeneous here means not subject to change, not subject to birth, not subject to death, not subject to aging, decay, not subject to becoming causal, subtle or gross. Samatāṃ gatam, nirvikaram in Sanskrit, not subject to any kind of vikara, change or modification. That Brahman I am going to speak about. Then what about this? What about our universe? What about our lives? It will continue as it is. Yathā na jāyate kiṃcit jāyamānaṃ samantataḥ. From where we will see, from this point of view, nothing whatsoever has happened, though everything continues exactly as it is. In your dream, when you wake up, you still remember, as long as you remember the dream, you still remember what happened, whom you met, where it went, where you went, what good things and bad things happened, who said what. You may remember those things. But also you have one additional knowledge. What? None of it, it's a dream. None of it happened. Na jāyamānaṃ. None of it did, none of it was caused, none of it was born, none of it was created. Jāyamānaṃ samantataḥ. Yet samantataḥ means from all sides. Yet it continues to appear from all sides. I don't deny, when I wake up from a dream, I don't deny that I saw a dream. I say it's a dream. I saw it, but it's a dream. Similarly, he says, from which point of view you will see all of it continues as it is, and yet you know that nothing at all has happened. It's a stillness, a light in which the universe appears, shines and disappears without having any effect upon it. It's like the screen on which any number of movies, comedies and tragedies can play without affecting the screen a little bit. You can show a terrible inferno, the screen is not going to get hot. You can show a great earthquake, the screen is not going to get split. You're going to show a great deluge, the screen will not even get wet even with one drop of water. Similarly, this is that reality which will not be affected by all of these appearances. The words he uses, such that, yathā, such that, jāyamānaṃ samantataḥ, all things seem to be born and existing and created, and na jāyate kiṃcit, nothing is born or nothing comes into being, only Brahman remains. Turiyam does not produce anything. Okay. So this is what we are going to speak about. Statement of purpose. That's the whole plan of the chapter. What he is going to show now, you see, if I can sum up, one philosopher put it so beautifully. What is the special message? Advaita Vedanta, certainly. Gaudapada is teaching Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta. But what is the special message of Gaudapada? He put it this way. 4 points. Non-duality, non-origination, non-touch, non-contradiction. In Sanskrit, Advaita, Ajati, Asparsha, Avirodha. Advaita. This one we have already seen. The first chapter talked about it. ātmā Advaitam. ātmā Advaitam means the non-dual Turiyam. The fourth one, with respect to which the first three are not three. They are not a second reality apart from the fourth one. Non-dual, so you are the non-dual consciousness. There is no second reality apart from you. That's the first truth which Gaudapada speaks, and everything else flows from that. The second one he says is ajati. Ajati means non-origination. If Atman, you are really non-dual, then what about the duality? What about duality? What about this world? It did not originate. If it really did originate, then you cannot be non-dual. If there is really a dualistic universe, if there is really a pluralistic universe, then you cannot be non-dual. If you are really non-dual, then the dualistic universe must be an appearance. Just what he said now. Jāyamānaṃ. I think Purusha Sukta where? Jāyamānaṃ bahudha jāyate. Without being born, it appears as many. So non-origination, the universe did not originate. No more than all your dream events were actual events. They did not. Yet you experience them. That is called falsity of the universe. So that is the second great truth. It follows from the first. If the Atman is really non-dual, then the so-called duality must be an appearance. You can't deny that you are experiencing duality. Who can deny it? Then the experience must be like a dream. That ultimately it's not real, or ultimately your non-dual nature has not been affected in the least. In simple words, it's all right. Second, non-origination. Third one, non-touch. In Sanskrit, asparsha. In fact, whole of this teaching of Gaudapada is called asparsha yoga. That's a term he has not yet used, he will use in the third chapter. Asparsha yoga. Asparsha means non-touch. If this world is an appearance in me, then what is its relation to me? What effect does it have upon me? Nothing. Nothing. Can it harm you? No. Can it improve you? No. Can it do you good? No. Can it degrade you, make you sinful, impure? No. It can entertain you. It can be fun. Yes. So it's your appearance. You are appearing as this world. Non-touch. Just as the water of the mirage does not touch the sand of the desert. Just as the movie does not touch the screen. The false snake does not make the rope poisonous. In the same way, the samsara, no matter how terrible, how sinful, how horrible, it has absolutely no effect on you, the non-dual self. Asparsha. These are very radical things. Just the opposite. Shankaracharya gives vivid descriptions of samsara, the kripana of samsari. I am ruined. My children are dead. My relatives are lost. Wealth is gone. Death is approaching. Alas, he says, alas, hahakara, alas, I am ruined. This is samsara. And Gaudapada says, not at all, not in the least. Nothing at all has happened to you, the Turiyam. And the example, remember, is there any way of understanding this? Yes. Your dreams, the worst of nightmares, what has it done to you? You're terrified, suffering from a disease, and afraid of the medical procedure, and suddenly you wake up. Nothing at all has happened. Your heart may still be beating fast, you still may be feeling uneasy, but actually nothing has happened. So a thing can be experienced, and yet it may not be the reality if you snap out of it into a higher level of reality. I lost track. What was he saying? And then the fourth one, so non-touch. This is called asparsha. Sparsha, so this is not untouchability. That's a different thing. This is non-touch. The universe does not touch you. Non-touch, asparsha. And Gaudapada's teaching is called asparsha yoga. The yoga of non-touch doesn't mean not that you'll go around not touching people. It means the universe does not touch the non-dual self. Asparsha yoga. Gaudapada will use that term a couple of times as it comes later on. And the third one is called, the third great point in Gaudapada's teaching is avirodha, non-contradiction. It does not contradict any religious doctrine, it does not contradict science, it does not contradict atheism, nothing. Or it makes space for everything. Which object does space contradict? You can have a brownstone here, you can have a mall here. The two are contradictory, you can't have both here. Right? You can have a brownstone, you can have a park there or a horrors, a huge building complex there. Let's hope that will never come. You can't have both. But from the point of view of space, it rejects what? Nothing. Space accommodates everything. Similarly, this non-dual Atman, all views, it has no contradiction. Gaudapada will say, dualistic views contradict each other. They fight among each other. Parasparam viruddhyante. One says the ultimate reality is Shiva. The other says, no, it is Vishnu. The other one will say it is Allah or Jehovah. No. Some say it's with form, some say it is without form, some say the form is, it has to be a male. Some say no. In Hinduism, we will not say it has to be a divine, but they put it in a more subtle way. Yes, Rama and Krishna, they are all good. I mean, they are wonderful, we accept them. They are all waves in the ocean, that is the Divine Mother. So immediately Rama and Krishna become little waves, and the ocean is the mother. It's the mother who appears in. So some say the great mother is the ultimate reality. Some say all of this is imagination, atheism. Richard Dawkins, foolish, all this is foolish, forget it, it's fairy tales. Material science alone is the reality. Bill is not here today, he would have backed me up on this. Now Gaudapada says these views clash and contradict each other and they fight against each other. They do not contradict this. Why they do not contradict it is, he doesn't go into details. Shankaracharya explains, which is not a very good thing at all. Why they don't contradict? Because the false does not contradict the real. You can't have, I'll come to you, you can't have a comedy or a tragedy and a tragedy playing at the same time. You can't. They are not the same movie, they contradict each other. But the screen has no contradiction with whatever movie you play on it. Rather, not only does it not contradict the movie, it enables the movie to be played, and no movie can be played without the screen. Without this non-dual Brahman, you cannot have anything. Science or religion, theism, atheism, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever. You can't have anything without this non-dual Brahman. That's all it wants to talk about. So, non-contradiction, avirodha. That is not a very, from the point of view of a theist, it's not an encouraging thing. It's just saying, you don't contradict me because you don't exist. That's why. Shankaracharya explains it this way. There is, in his commentary, there is a man sitting on an elephant going through a narrow village street, typical ancient Indian sign, even now you can see sometimes. And a crazy guy stands on the pavement shouting, let's have an elephant fight, charge your elephant against mine. But there can be no elephant fight because that crazy guy doesn't have an elephant. Similarly, all the dualistic philosophies are like that crazy guy. There is nothing to contradict because they don't exist. All that exists is this one. You had a question.
Yeah, the non-touch part.
Yes.
You say it doesn't affect us.
Yes.
But in life we accumulate karma, isn't that?
Wait. Doesn't affect whom? The akarpanyam, the Turiyam. The moment you say, I accumulate karma, where are you? Within causality. Where is this? Here. Certainly it affects you. All that we said now, See, this is Mandukya class, so I'll hold you to that standard. Your questions, I will throw it back. I will outsource it out, not to you, but to somebody else. So there'll be people know the answers. All the answers are here. See, it's so clear here. So within this world of causality, within samsara, yes, it affects. Everything affects you. That's why we are unhappy. That's why we are kripana, we are sad, we are miserable. We are trying to find a solution. Yes, somebody else had the hand up? Okay. Now, so this is the project. This is what he has set up. This is what we are going to talk about. Now, let us start. What he is going to do here is, so the 4 terms, remember these 4 terms. I don't know, I forgot who wrote it. Very beautiful, I liked it. That Gaudapada, the great themes of Gaudapada, Advaitam, Ajati, Asparsha, and Avirodha. In fact, the philosophy itself is called Advaitavada, the philosophy of non-duality. But that's true for all teachers, Shankaracharya and all the Advaita teachers. Gaudapada's philosophy especially is called Ajativada, the second one, philosophy of non-origination. There are 3 levels. God created the world. God projected the world, like dreamt up the world. Or it did not happen at all. There's no world to speak about, so there's no question of creation or dreaming or anything like that. The third one is Gaudapada. 3 levels of reality. Physical, a transactional reality, which is called Vyavaharika. An appearance reality, which is called Pratibhasika. And the ultimate reality, Paramarthika. Paramarthika, the absolute, Brahman. So this 3-level reality is the way Advaita Vedanta is normally taught. When you read Shankaracharya, you should always keep these 3 in mind. Transactional reality, Vyavaharika, this is the world we are inhabiting, where we think we seem to have bodies and minds. We are studying Vedanta, we are suffering in samsara, we are trying to do spiritual practice, become enlightened. This is called transactional reality. Why do you have to have this? Because Advaita says you are free, you are the absolute right now. But that's not how we see ourselves at all. So to accommodate our view of the world, they put a temporary, a placeholder. What you think of the world, we Advaitins, we call it transactional reality. There's also another reality, which is an appearance nature. Dream, errors in our world, what we call dreams and errors. We see it and we know it's wrong. For example, our dreams, we see it and we say it's false. What would an Advaitin say? He would call it pratibhasika, illusory level of reality. Snake rope. So the rope is a transactional reality, which I can use in this world. I can use it to bundle up my clothes. But the snake is an appearance. That is called pratibhasika. And in contrast to these 2 is the ultimate reality, which Advaita talks about, which is Brahman. It calls it Paramarthika, the absolute reality. So these are 3 levels. It's called Trisattavada, 3 levels of reality. This is actually the basic way in which non-duality is taught. For whom? For beginners. A little more advanced presentation is called Drishti Shrishti Vada, which is entire universe is an appearance. 2 levels of reality. Paramarthika, Pratibhasika. Paramarthika is Brahman, everything else is an appearance, like a dream. Your dream is a dream, your waking is also a dream. Dream and waking are collapsed into that. That is called Dvisattavada, 2 levels of reality. One is the ultimate reality, which he talks about, Brahman, Atman, Turiyam, that's the reality, and the rest is like a dream. As you dismiss your dreams, you should dismiss your waking also. As you act in your dreams, you should act in your waking also. That's also there. But it's no more important. In the earlier one, the waking and the dream are clearly separated. The realm of fantasy and the realm of science are separate. But here, all are in the realm of fantasy. Wait, let me finish this. So that is Dvisattavada, 2 stage. That is for advanced students. And for the most advanced students, by which I mean you, it is Gaudapada, who talks about 1 level of reality, which is Paramarthika, only this. Then what about all this? ajati, never happened, never will. Can you give it some provisional level of reality? No. Uncompromising. This is called ajātavāda. So that's the second thing Gaudapada talks about. So Gaudapada's philosophy is sometimes called ajativāda. That seemed as an extreme case of Advaita. The most radical non-dualists speak about it. Ayan Maharaj was here. Before making the transition to Vijnana Vedanta, he was a strict ajātavādin, absolutely. And he mentioned one thing, if you remember. He said, any thoroughgoing non-dualist will finally come to the ajata position. Nothing ever has happened or ever will. It's all perfect, was and will be perfect. Even was, will be is time, which is also an appearance. Okay. Ajātavāda. The third one is asparsha yoga, which is a very practical. It's also an implication of non-dualism, which Gaudapada will speak about. Ranganathanandaji was fond of quoting that verse. Asparsha yoga vai nama. This teaching is called asparsha yoga, the yoga of non-touch. You are experiencing the entire universe completely unaffected by it, just as space is unaffected by it. And the fourth one, avirodha. Non-dualism has no contradiction with anything. Okay. Do you still remember the question? Did I answer? Yeah, I answered your question, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, the teaching will start. You had a question, yes.
In the context of Turiyam appearing as reality, can you expound on the doctrine of ekajiva?
Ekajiva, okay. Ekajivavada is related to the second method of presentation. The second method of presentation is Drishti Shrishti Vada or Dvisatta Vada, where there are two levels of reality. The ultimate reality that you are Turiyam and the level of dream. Everything is a dream. Waking is also a dream, dream is also a dream. There.
But isn't it also say that it appears only when you observe?
Yes. Drishti Shrishti Vada appears when you observe. So the universe appears only to the observer, just like a dream. A dream is there only when you are dreaming it. In that way, the physical universe is there only when you are experiencing it. Otherwise, it only appears in your experience. It has no separate existence apart from your experience. The more basic form of Advaita, which talks about Vyavaharika, the distinction between transactional reality and pratibhasika, illusory reality, there they make a distinction between the waking state and the dream state. The waking state, the rope and the snake are not equally false. The rope is more true than the snake. The waking is more true than the dream. What happened in your dream need not be counted. What happens in the waking has to be counted. Your science and politics and religion are all possible. Advaita, all is possible in the waking state. That's the basic way of teaching Advaita. This one is more advanced, what you're talking about, where they say they erase the difference between pratibhasika and vyavaharika, appearance and transactional reality. Now consider this question, what you are asking, it comes like this. If all of this is appearing in your experience, then what about us? All of us?
You are too.
The teacher, the co-students, other people in the world, they are all appearing in your experience, just like all the people in the dream appeared in your experience. They have no existence apart from the dreamer's mind. Similarly, all of us have no existence apart from you, from your consciousness. Right?
But I would like you to exist.
Doesn't matter. Well, thank you. But Ekajivavada will say you have no proof for a separate existence of other beings. Only you have definite proof for your own existence. So you are the only one, and yet you don't feel that you are enlightened. You still feel I am suffering, I am still in trouble. So you are a jiva, but you are the only jiva for which there is only one jiva. Everybody else and everything else in the universe is part of that jiva's dream. And who is that jiva? We all exist in his dream, his or her dream. Who is that jiva? You are. Now what about you? No, we all exist in your dream. So you treat yourself as that jiva, and then you apply this to realize that jiva, you are none other than Turiyam. You'll be free then. Done. That's the intermediate level of Advaita. That's called Eka Jiva Vada, one Jiva alone. If you see, all this sounds crazy. And yet, even recently, Elon Musk was speaking exactly about this. He says, our modern ideas of virtual realities. So you can create a world and characters which are all generated in a computer, and you can experience them. You can experience them in 3 dimensions, even haptic. Haptic means touch. If you can touch, smell, all those things can be generated by computers now. And your own existence can be projected in a computer. So the whole of reality can be projected in a very sophisticated VR. Suppose, there was actually a paper which actually Elon Musk was quoting when he said that. It was a paper written by a philosopher earlier. Now suppose such VRs are possible, virtual realities are possible, suppose. Then imagine an alien civilization where children are playing with such VRs. How many are there? Millions and billions of such VRs. Sophisticated VRs, virtual realities. If there are millions and billions of VRs, now you consider this reality we are standing in. Probability, apply probabilistic calculations. Is it probable that we are in the one single real universe or in one of the many millions of virtual universes? Probability? Probability? Virtual universe. Overwhelming probability is that we are living in a virtual universe. Some alien kid is playing Xbox and we are here. So, not Gaudapada, Elon Musk, 21st century. And he is serious about it. And he is not alone. He says the logic is irrefutable. So anyway, that's what I am saying. So this, not that this idea is something strange and outmoded. It is more and more we develop our technologies, the more it seems to be possible. And why depend on VR? We have our internal VR running all the time. Every night you experience a very vivid VR virtual reality recreation. All right, let's go on. Now, what he will prove now is the akarpaṇyam, your nature as Turiyam. See, this teaching was given in the first chapter, Upanishad. Second chapter and third chapter are meant to prove 2 things. The falsity of the world, that this what we take to be real is an appearance. This was, the proposal was, can we understand this, can we prove it through logic and argument? So that was done in the second chapter. Second chapter called Vaitatya Prakarana. Hopefully you remember the chapter on unreality or appearance nature of the world. Through examples and through logic, you remember what kind of reasoning and example. The example was the dream example, which was heavily used in the second chapter. The nature of the world was examined. Another thing is that this Turiyam, alright, the world is an appearance, but this thing you're talking about, non-causal, unchanging, non-dual, Turiyam, pure consciousness, can this be demonstrated? That we are this right now, forever, this great claim. Can you demonstrate it through argument? Just like you did for that one. Jagat Mithya, the world is an appearance. You demonstrate it through argument. Brahma Satyam, Jiva Brahmaiva Napara, Brahman alone is real. I am the absolute. Can you logically show me? That's the subject, the great theme of this chapter. Just as the earlier chapter used dreams as an example, this chapter will use the example of sky, space. So let's see. That's a great example which is going to be used throughout this chapter. So remember this. Just as again and again we referred to dreams in the earlier chapter, in this chapter we're going to refer to space. And what is the project here? To show that you are that non-dual self, that you are the absolute. No birth, no death for you, no imperfection for you, no samsara for you, no suffering for you. Right now, right here. Can you show this? Yes, he says we can. Third, he starts the teaching. Ātmā hyākāśavajjīvairghaṭākāśairivoditaḥ ghaṭādivacca samghātairjātāvetannidarśanam jātāvetannidarśanam, jātāvetannidarśanam. Since the Atman is referred to as existing in the form of individual souls, in the same way as space exists in the form of spaces confined within jars, and since the Atman exists in the form of the composite things such as space exists as jars, etc., therefore in the matter of birth, this is the illustration, this is the example. Don't be confused. The whole chapter is an explanation of this. First, let's understand the example, then we'll understand what the teaching is. What is the example? When we make jars, pots, immediately you feel that there is a space within the pot. That is called ghatākāśa, pot space. And the space all around the vast space, that is called mahākāśa, literally the great sky or the unlimited space or the total space. So let's call it the vast sky. Mahākāśa, literally, maha means vast, akasha means sky or space. The great space or the vast sky. Now the vast sky seems to be split up into little spaces called pot spaces. You have 10 pots, and each pot encloses a space. So that space is called a pot space. Pot space 1, 2, 3, 4. They are all different from each other. And it seems we have created those spaces when the jar has been made. It encloses, it cuts off the vast space, the sky, into these limited spaces. But the fact is, it's not true. It's not true. Space cannot be cut off by material objects. I've often given the example, say you have a flower vase with water in it. If I fill up the water in the flower room and bring the vase here and put it here with the flowers and the water, when I move the vase, will the flowers and the water move with it? When I move the vase, will the flowers and the water move with it? Yes. Of course. Otherwise, it will make a bad mess. If you have put so many things and you take the vase and put it there, it will all be splashed and wet. No, it will move. Glass of water, bring me a glass of water means the water will move along with the glass. But suppose you have an empty flower vase and it has only space in it. Forget the air for the time being. There's only space in it. Now when I move the vase, take it from there and put it here. Did the space in it move with the glass, with the vase? No. No. The vase moved through space. Space did not move with the glass, with the vase. Are you clear with this? The vase, the glass, the pot does not affect space. Space remains as it is. It is not enclosed in any sense within the pot. No, if I put a lid on it, even if you put a lid on it, the space is not enclosed in it. Can it escape? How will it escape if I put a lid on it? It is not enclosed to begin with. There is no question of escaping. When you move the pot along, it's moving through space. The space inside is not moving along with the pot. And the pot space, it only appears to be the space within the pot. It is not created when you create a pot. When the potter makes a pot, makes the pot, does not make the space. It always was there and nothing has been done to it. Manhattan is exactly as it was hundreds of years ago. No, it hasn't. Now there are so many houses. What we call a house, what we call this hall, it's a space. You never created the space, though it seems to be. We created halls, we created buildings, we created malls, we created parks. Not really. We created these structures which enclose the space, and now we are calling that enclosed space a hall, a mall, a park. But the space was not created. Space was not even enclosed by us. It only seems to be. The illusion is very powerful. This is a hall, that's a room, that's a washroom, that's a dining room. This is worship space, that is a work space, that is a living space. No, it is one undivided space. It's only the structures that we have put up and we conventionally use them and we tend to associate holy space, a secular space. Actually, this space it is not affected by your holiness or your secular. It's completely an illusion generated by the structures we have put up. Is this clear? Is the pot space created by the creation of the spot of the pot? No. If I break the pot, will the pot space now merge with the great sky? No. It's as if it was separated when the pot is broken, now it becomes one with the sky. No. Was it always one with the sky? Is it true that it was one with the sky, now the poor thing, you've enclosed it in a pot, and once you break the pot and set it free, it will become one with the sky again? No. It was one with the sky, it is the sky. It seems to be enclosed. And once you break it, again it seems to be not enclosed. When it was not enclosed, when it is will not be enclosed, and when it seems to be enclosed, all the time the space is completely, totally unaffected. So neither the space, pot space is created, nor is it destroyed. Point 1, pot space is not created. Pot space is not destroyed. Third, depending on what you put in the pot, you put Ganga, the holy water from the Ganga, in the pot. So the space in the pot is purified, it becomes holy. Is it true? No. We use it all the time in religion. Scatter Ganga water here, the space has now become holy. It has an effect on our minds, no doubt. It may have an effect on the objects which we are using, a flower which is offered, the articles of worship, fine. But the space itself? Somebody stores medical supplies or medical specimen fluids from a body. Oh, it's dirty, the space has become dirty. Is it true? No. In a test tube, fluids from a patient's body are stored. Another nearby pot, the doctor stores some water from the Ganga. So here the space is holy, in that it is impure. The fluid, you might consider this fluid to be holy and that one to be impure, but the space, not affected. Not affected. So by the defects of the material stored in space, I will use all of this, remember these things. By the defects of the material stored in that space, the space is not affected. All right. One pot is like this. One pot is like this. One pot is big. The pot is tiny. So can we say, here is a round space, here is a narrow space, here is a square, a cubical space. We talk about it in architecture. Space is like this. But really, is the space narrow, round, cubical or anything? No. Not at all. Are you with me or not? If the example is not clear, then
I am so sorry, but scientifically, if you put a lid on top of the pot and you move it, the same molecules of air that were in the pot, when you put the lid on it, have been moved also.
Yes.
So can you explain this?
If you put water in it and move it, water will be moved. If you put a lid on it and move it, the air inside, air means the molecules, will be moved.
Yes.
Correct. But what did I say all along? Am I talking about the air or am I talking about space?
Oh, I see. Air.
Right.
Okay.
Air is another fluid. Of course it can be moved. That's how astronauts take oxygen to space. They put it in compressed oxygen cylinders and take it out to space. So the air goes with it. But space does not travel when the cylinder is transported through space. Space itself does not move with that. Is that true or not? Actually, I have met people who have had trouble with that concept. One person really quarreled with me. I said, no, I have to think about this. At least some of it will move. Yes.
Swami, how does one reconcile that with the Big Bang theory, where the universe is expanding, was created in the instant, there was nothing, there was no space.
Yeah, I know.
There was space.
Yeah.
So that space is expanding.
Right. We will not reconcile it with that, because after all you will say space will, not only that, even now space is affected by the presence of massive objects. That's what relativity says. So remember, Gaudapada here is not talking about space as such. He is using it as an example. So use our common sense experience of space as an example to prove something else. What he is going to prove or demonstrate something else. So don't talk about relativistic space or Einsteinian space. That is affected by gravity, for example. Yeah. So we are not going into that. We're just taking a common sense idea of how we experience space as an example. So space is not round or cube or anything. The containers are round or cube or. One more point I want to make is this. How is the part space related to the vast, the sky? Is it the child of the sky? Is it a part of the sky? It is the sky. It's not even a part. No, this much and that. In a space you might think that, but in pure consciousness you cannot even think of parts. So it's not even a part. It's it's one unit thing. You can't divide it really. Because if you can divide it, then you can talk of parts of space. But it's not parts. We divide it, then we design a coordinate system, and then we do mathematics on it, but really you have not done anything to space. If you could, imagine, if you could really physically divide space into parts, you could move it around. You could take out this part and put it there, take another part, put it here. No, you can't do that. You are not physically doing anything. This is a little difficult because all of mathematics, the coordinate system, it seems to be talking about parts of space, locations in space, but that's something that we have put on it for our own use. You say, no, left, right. What left and right? My left and right are your right and left. What up and down? What east, west, north, south? Where is east, west, north, south on the sun? Yes.
You are saying that we are using our common sense concept of the space. I was thinking whether there will be need of finding out what is the Vedantic and especially Gaudapada's concept of space, not the common sense. That will be good for the example.
Right.
What he really means by space. Because
Right.
it is a very abstract term. We are using abstract term for...
It is true, but you can take the Upanishadic idea of space. Space is the first evolute. Tasmād vā etasmād ātmana ākāśavajjīvairghaṭākāśairivoditaḥ. Akasha was the first evolute of the absolute through Maya. So this what we are experiencing, it is called Mahākāśa. There is a very sophisticated concept of space in Indian philosophy. If you are interested, there is a very nice article by K. Ram Subramaniam, who is a professor of physics in IIT Mumbai and professor of Indian philosophy also. He studied Advaita Vedanta under Sringeri Shankaracharya. Now he and another French scientist, they have written a paper, Concept of Akasha in Indian philosophy. It's available on the net. He had sent a copy to me once. It's very interesting. He compares the ancient Nyaya concept of space with modern physics concept of space and so on. But apart from that, my point, I'll come to you. So the last point I want to make is the part space has no relation at all with the sky. It is the sky. It's one. There is no division, no relation. It's not a child of the sky. It's not a product of the sky. It's not a part of the sky. I have said what I wanted to about the example. Now I'll apply it to ātmā. Before that, there's a question.
So the jiva is the part space,
I'm coming to that, yes.
and the akash is the brahman.
Brahman, yes.
So what's the part?
I'll come to that. What's the part? It's in Vedanta, it's called upadhi, body mind. Okay. Now let's see. Let's now apply this. What have I said? Part space is not born when you create a pot. It only seems to be enclosed, but actually it's the same as the sky. Similarly, with the presence of the body-mind complex, like the pot, the presence of this body-mind complex, the infinite consciousness seems to become a jiva. Jiva is created. Jiva is created, not created. That infinite consciousness, Turiyam, remains as Turiyam. Even when body-mind is there, even when it seems. How powerful is the illusion of a pot space? How powerful. It seems to be there. It seems to be round. It's exactly that one. It was not there earlier. See, all these rooms, we charge millions of dollars. Did you create this space? No. Then why are you selling this apartment for $1 million? Are you selling the walls? You take the walls elsewhere, will it go? No. It has to be this space in Upper West Manhattan, then it's $1 million. But does this space belong to you? Did you create it? No. You enclosed it, and it generates such an illusion, name, form, and it's useful. You can live in it. You can work in it. You can sell your goods in it. It can be a shopping mall. It can be a cinema theater. It can be a park. So nama rupa vyavahara is there. This is maya. And so the jiva comes into being. It functions. It does everything. Lives a life. Samsara. Struggles. And thinks, I have been born. I am growing older. I have to make my mark in the world. I am educated. I have to get a job. I have to earn money. I have to find happiness. I have to do CrossFit. And I have to come to class at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. So it does all of that. And yet, Gaudapada insists, nothing has happened at all to you, the pure consciousness. It's only the presence of body and mind which makes you think you are the jiva. Just as the sky thinks, I am a little pot space. The pot is my body and I am the space within. No. Jiva is not born. This is the great doctrine of non-origination. Ajati. Turiya is not born as jiva. First point. Second point. It'll all come. Now he will show one by one. When the pot breaks, does the space die, pot space die, or pot space becomes one with the great sky? No. It always was the same. So jiva does not become one with God or Brahman or something. It was one with God before creation of the universe. After the destruction of the universe, it will become one with God. I've heard, senior practitioners say this. Wrong conception of Advaita. When the body dies, the Turiyam is exactly the same. You are that vast consciousness, you're still the same. No, after enlightenment, now we are separate from God. After enlightenment, slowly become one with God, merge with God. When the pot becomes thinner and thinner and thinner, the space becomes more and more. No, you're exactly the same. Destruction of the pot does not mean the pot space becomes one with the sky. Death does not mean that you become united with Brahman. Enlightenment does not mean that you become united with Brahman. Deep sleep does not mean you become united with Brahman. Samadhi does not mean you become united with Brahman. To become united with Brahman, you don't have to go to heaven. No. You are Brahman. How can you become united with Brahman? So that's such a great conclusion. Third, even greater, just follow this. This example is stunning, what he's saying here. Pot space, dirty when you store in a test tube, you're storing the samples from a patient's body, urine and feces, and it's so dirty, space has become so dirty, impure. The pot may have become impure. The test tube may have become impure. Maybe the substance is impure. Is space impure? No. Similarly, he says, in a pot, there might be smoke. Another pot, there might be dust. But space, rajo dhumādibhi, he will say, it's not affected by smoke and dust. Space is not affected. I have given the example of how we have seen when in our main monastery, old monks, when they pass away, we have the permission to cremate them in the monastery itself from the municipality. I have seen how the wood burns, the element of fire, element of earth, it burns into ashes. The water in the body contains a lot of water. I have seen water jetting out and then vaporizing. So the water vaporizes. The fire, the heat element becomes one with the fire. The air around it becomes hot. You can't go near it when the body is burning. The four elements, you can clearly see that they are affected by the fire. But space itself, it's hot. Air is hot. Space is not hot. You have a gust of cold wind, you will see that the hot air goes away, the space is exactly the same.
But space doesn't exist either. Well, it doesn't. There's nothing in the fourth state. There is not space, there is not me, there is not white, there is not orange, there is not light, there is not a cloud. There's nothing. You constantly say nothing.
There's space here.
Space? Well, yes, here, yes.
Yeah. So we are using space as an example.
But not in... All right.
The fourth is consciousness. We are not saying that there's space there. No, you're right. There's no space there. But space we are using as an example to understand this. We are not saying that there is space there. When you say the world is like a snake and the Brahman is like a rope, we don't mean that there is a rope in Brahman and the world is a big snake.
Well,
it's an example.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know why this one.
Right. No. There's
Feels more like a trick than the other.
Clearly there's no space in the, because space is a product of Maya also. So it's within Maya. It's an example. So just as the space in the pot is not affected by what you keep in the pot, is not made impure. Similarly, conscious is not made impure by body-mind complex. Oh, I've become so obese, 200 pounds. Is consciousness 200 pounds? No. I become skinny, is 80 pounds. Is consciousness 80 pounds? No. I feel man, woman, gender. Has consciousness any gender? No. It belongs to the pot, the body. Hunger and thirst, health and illness belongs to prana, not to consciousness. Impure thoughts. I'm troubled by bad thoughts, impure thoughts, depression. You cannot see how, if you are a mental health worker, you'll know how obsessive thoughts torture a person. Absolutely no effect on that witness consciousness. And it can be demonstrated. That person himself or herself will see. Even when those obsessive thoughts are going on, it has no effect really. It can be pointed out actually. So, not affected. Papa punya, by sin, by good works, by bad works. So that's why this is very dangerous doctrine. Don't misunderstand. Don't handle carefully. Handle carefully at your own risk. So I can do anything? Yes, you can do anything. You will also get the result of that thing. When you do, you are within this. Causality will be there. Karma will be there. Sri Ramakrishna said, somebody said, the person is suffering. He is Brahman, then how is suffering? He said in Bengali, Lanka khele jhal lagbe na, if you eat chilies, won't your tongue burn? In the realm of causality, it will work. But consciousness itself is unaffected by it. You, the Turiyam, you are absolutely unaffected by this world, by the impurities of this world. You are not degraded by this world, by the body-mind. Whatever happens in this body and mind, the worst of bodies and minds, worst of actions done in this world, has not the slightest effect. It is all right. Always was, always will be. You as pure consciousness, you're perfectly all right. Nothing can touch you. You are immortal and ever pure. So that is the third conclusion. Just as the pot space is not affected by what is contained in the pot, is not purified also. The greatest of sadhanas, yogic practices and great deeds done in the world. So I have become a better person? Person maybe, but that witness consciousness, how can you improve the which is already perfect? What improvement can there be there for that? So that is always there. One more. Features. This pure consciousness is like the vast sky. It has no separating features. Each pot is different. Tall pot, fat pot, small pot, big pot. But the space inside, is it tall, fat, small, big? No. One uniform space. Similarly, whether it is a man or a woman or American or Indian or Chinese, whether it is a human being or an animal or a plant or a non-living entity, consciousness is one and the same everywhere. Has no distinguishing features. Has no separating features to set off one against the other. We are one and the same in all beings, in all things, at all times. That one uniform consciousness, he used such a beautiful word, samatāṃ gatam, unchanging uniform consciousness. That is just like the sky, no matter what the pot is. Then the last one, the pot space has no relation at all with the sky. We'll talk about it. So what relation has the jiva with Brahman, with Turiyam? Is jiva created by Turiyam? No. No more than the pot space is created by the sky. Is jiva part of the Turiyam? No. No more than the pot space is a part of the... These are big points. Later on, all these were used to hammer Advaita Vedanta and Vishishtadvaita. Dvaita says God and you are different, you have a relation with God. Vishishtadvaita says you are a part of God. He says no, the pot space is not a part of the sky. It is the sky. There is no separating line. One more point, and then I'll stop. What you said, but then what is the pot? Where did the pot come from? Where did this body come from? He says the samghāta, he used the word, you'll see. Gaṭādivacca samghāte jātau nidarśanam. Just as the pot space is an appearance, follow this carefully, just as the pot space is an appearance of the sky because of the pot, it is not really separate from the sky. So is consciousness in the jiva an appearance as being a jiva. It is actually that infinite consciousness Turiyam. Why is it an appearance? Because of the appearance of body-mind. And he says, just as pot itself is a creation of Akasha. Pot, ghata, he says the pot etc. they are also creations of Akasha. It is nothing other than Akasha, which makes Akasha seem enclosed. The sky seems enclosed into a pot space because of the creation of the pot, which is also nothing other than Akasha. You might say the space within a pot is the great space. I can understand that. Appears to be a delimitation of the great space. But how did the sky create a pot? Not directly, but if you know the Upanishadic cosmology, you will see actually it makes sense. What it says is, Taittiriya Upanishad, Tasmad va ātmana ākāśas, tasmad va etasmad ātmana ākāśa sambhūta. From that pure consciousness, the sky emerges. Ākāśād vayu, from the sky the wind emerges. Vayor agni, from wind fire. Agner apaha, from fire the waters. Adbhya prithivi, from waters the earth. Prithibhya ghataha. No, it's not there in Upanishad. From the earth, the pot. The pot is a modification of the earth. But what basically he wants to say is, even our bodies, what are these bodies? They are 5 elements. Minds, there are also these 5 elements, the subtle 5 elements. Body-mind complex is nothing other than that pure consciousness, Turiyam. Through Maya, it appears as the 5 elements and combinations of the 5 elements as this body. Every bit of it is nothing other than Brahman. In reality, appears to be other than Brahman. It's difficult to swallow. No, you experience it every night. All the persons you see in the dream, the dogs and the cats and the persons and the buildings and cars and trees and the sky, every bit of it is what? Mind. Whose mind? Your mind. Don't look so skeptical. You're doing it every day in the night. Your mind generates people, bodies, minds, sky, earth, water, everything. Yeah, but it's an appearance. Exactly this. The entire universe, that's what Gaudapada is saying. Even body-mind is an appearance through Maya of Turiyam. And because of the appearance of body-mind, Turiyam itself seems to be delimited, cut off within each body-mind. Just as sky seems to be cut off within each pot. Concluding therefore, what he wants to prove, and we'll see, he will go on developing this theme. What he will show is this. Just as space is not, space within the pot is not born by the creation of the pot, it only appears to be a pot space. The individual consciousness, jiva, is not created by Turiyam. It is the Turiyam. It's because of body-mind it appears like that. After the destruction of the pot, it's not that the pot space merges with the sky, becomes one with the sky. After the death of the body, after enlightenment, it's not that your individual consciousness will merge with the cosmic consciousness, nothing of the sort. You are that Turiyam already. You are, you will. You where you are, you will be that one. No question of any kind of merger. Yeah, it may seem like that. It may feel like that. Just as it feels I'm separate, you may feel I've become one with it. The truth is, you are already one with it.
Just to follow the gentleman's question further, right? So the pot is pot the Maya, or the pot is one of those three elements: gross, subtle, and causal.
Three elements. See, causal level is called Maya. In Vedanta, see, this is what we have discussed earlier. Causal level is called Maya. At the subtle level, the 5 sukshma tanmatra. At the gross level, the 5 sthula tanmatra. It is Brahman alone, through Maya, which appears as these 5 elements. That is just basic Advaitic cosmology. All right. So, at the death of the body, you do not become one with Brahman. You are one with Brahman. No more than the sky within the space within the pot becomes one with the sky. Third, the impurities in the pot do not affect the space within the pot. Different pots containing different things, it's not that the space within those different pots is affected by it. Not at all. So, different bodies and minds with different karma, different activities, not at all affected. You, the pure consciousness, is not affected by it. No matter what your body, what your personality, no. Fourth, relationship. The spot space has no relationship at all with the sky because it is the sky. If you say relationship, only relationship is identity. It's not produced by the sky, it's not a part of the sky. Similarly, the jiva, it has no relationship with the Turiyam. It's not a child of the Turiyam, we are all children of God. No. It's not created by the Turiyam, where God is the creator. No. You are that. You are one with it. If you say any relationship at all, identity. No, we are part of it, not even part of it. That's Vishishta Advaita, qualified monism. You are that. Always where you are and you will be. And the last one is the relationship. Earlier I missed one. Features, differences. Last one was relationship. The features or differences. Yeah, but I may be pure consciousness, but I am a man, I am a monk, I am an Indian, I am in New York, and so on. Differentiates me Indian, not Chinese or Caucasian or African. Or I'm man, not a woman. So these are differentiating factors. The differences are in the pots, in bodies and minds. Consciousness itself is not differentiated at all. It's exactly the same. Just as round pot, tall pot, short pot, fat pot, skinny pot makes no difference. The space does not become round, tall, short or skinny. Space is exactly the same. Consciousness remains the same. It is Nirguna Chaitanya, pure consciousness. Yes. So this is what Gaudapada will be exploring in the classes in the next few verses. What he will do, let me give you an outline. He will prove through this example and demonstrating through reasoning that we are this consciousness, just like space, pot space and sky example, he would use that to prove these features which I have just been talking about. He will also prove through reasoning, just like the pots are nothing but evolutes of the sky. Similarly, bodies and minds which are creating these differences, which seem to be creating these differences, they are also products of Maya. They are not really different. They are not really a separate thing. It is the same Turiyam alone which appears as body-mind also. So non-duality is preserved. Having proven this, then he will go on in the next part of the chapter to show that all of this is not his imagination. He will pull in references from the Upanishads. Remember, this is Vedanta, so Vedanta has to be based on the Upanishads. So that he has to show it's not his his fantasy or his own. In Sanskrit they call it kapola kalpita, imagined by his own, in his own little skull. So he will show that the Upanishads also mean exactly this, what I have said. Yes, I'll come to you. Yeah.
So some other Upanishads, you mentioned he'll reference Upanishads. So how does Advaita reconcile to other Upanishads which say the first manifestation was Brahma, who had a disciple, who taught? So how does Advaita reconcile?
What Shankaracharya does is, in all those places, he will make them avantara vakya, mukhya vakya and avantara vakya. The central teaching is tattvamasi, that thou art, aham brahmasmi. There were two birds on earth. So dualistic will say that yes, that's right, a higher bird is God and lower bird is Jiva. But what the Advaitin will do is, these are all secondary statements slowly helping us to take us up step by step to understand the ultimate goal, which is oneness. So it is not the ultimate reality. When you say God created, doesn't the Upanishad speak about the creation of the universe? Of course it does. Brahman is the creator, the world is the projection of Brahman, and so on and so forth. So all dualistic theories are nicely supported by the Upanishads. But non-dualism is the ultimate conclusion of the Upanishads. Right. And not the other way around. You can easily argue that there are non-dualistic statements in the Upanishads, but dualism is the ultimate goal. The dualists will argue that non-dualistic statements are just like that, just to make you feel good, you are Brahman. Then when you will start practicing, finally you will realize that you are not Brahman. So that is the... no, you can't do that, because you cannot reconcile non-dualism with dualism. Ultimate dualism and to begin with non-dualism cannot be reconciled. Whereas ultimate non-dualism and the beginning dualism on the surface can be reconciled, like the pot and space example, like the dream. And so an appearance of many, an underlying unity, it's possible. An appearance of unity, but there is no appearance of unity. It all seems to be fractured right here. So that's how they reconcile. Mukhya vakya, avantara vakya. That's it's a strategy every commentator uses to their advantage. I'll come back to you.
In Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahma Vanapara, the Jagat is the body mind complex.
And the universe, entire universe, yes. See, use the Mandukya language. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. What is Jagat here? Waker's world, dream world, and the potential world. The Jagrat Prapancha, Swapna Prapancha, and Sushupti, the Karana Prapancha. Stula Prapancha, Sukshma Prapancha, Karana Prapancha. That is Jagat, world. Jagat Mithya, this is an appearance. Alright, Jiva. What is Jiva? In Mandukya language, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Vishwa Tejasa Pragya. Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. This Jiva is actually none other than Turiyam. This is in Mandukya language. Last, yes.
I am little confused.
Good. Take it slow.
You are telling that ghata. In that, whatever space is this, we call it ghata, akash. Similarly, you are saying that Turiyam. Turiyam also, you are comparing with human beings. Consciousness is there in every human being. So, everything is same. So, Akash, suppose Ghat is broken, it is mixing into Akash. But
it is not mixing, it seems to be.
It is one and same.
Yes.
But Ghat, suppose it is round, and we can measure it with the pi r square, whatever area is there, we
Correct.
can measure that. Room, we can measure it.
Yes.
But can we measure Turiyam?
Why do we never? No, we cannot.
No, every human being is having that.
Yes.
So, what exactly it is made up of?
Okay, take it slow. What do you think it is made up of?
It is energy.
Is energy something that is experienced? You tell me. You tell me. Do you experience energy? Do you experience it? When you feel energetic, when you see electrical energy, you experience it? So where is energy? Here? In your waker's world? Maybe in your dream world also? Not in the deep sleep world. So what is not, in deep sleep world you cannot experience anything, any particular thing. So energy is an object in the world, it's not Turiyam. Other candidates, tell me, what other candidates are there?
Apart from that, I cannot make out that Turiyam is what exactly it is.
Ether.
Consciousness we say, but what it is.
Don't try to say anything. Try to notice it. Just as you notice this pen, follow this carefully now. Notice this pen. Are you seeing it? Is it something theoretical for you? Yes, you can see it, you're seeing it, right? You're seeing it with eyes. If you close your eyes, you can't see it. If you open your eyes, you can see it. So eyes are the instrument. Now, are you aware of the eyes? You're aware of the pen with the eyes. Are you aware of your own eyes?
No.
You're not aware of your eyes? You're not aware of your eyes?
We
You?
can see with the eyes.
You can see with the eyes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we can see, I'm not asking you whether you can see the eyes. I'm asking, are you aware of the eye? When you open your eyes, are you aware?
Yeah.
If you cannot see clearly, you need glasses. Are you aware that I need glasses? So you are aware of the conditions of the eyes, right? You're aware of the eyes. You're aware of the eyes with what? You can see the pen with the eyes. You're aware of the pen with the eyes. You're aware of the eyes with what? With what? What thought? Oh, my eyes are open now. Oh, I am thinking, my eyes are closed. What is that one?
That is consciousness.
Mind. You can call it consciousness, but then it's changing, right? Sometimes it thinks eyes are open, sometimes it thinks eyes are closed, sometimes it thinks what is he talking about, sometimes it thinks I am confused, sometimes it thinks I understand. So that is called mind. Thoughts, ideas, memories. But these thoughts, memories, ideas, are you aware of them? When you feel I am happy, are you aware? You're not aware when you feel happy?
It is a feeling.
It's a feeling,
Yes.
right? Yeah, when it's a feeling, are you feeling it or not? If it's a feeling, you are definitely feeling it. You must be aware of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do you complain that I am so unhappy, I am depressed? Or why do you express your joy? I am so happy. So you are aware of it. That one which is aware of happiness, when you are aware of happiness, and you are also sometimes aware of depression, the one which is aware of happiness, the one which is aware of depression, are they the same one or different ones? Same one. What is that one? Notice it. What is that one? It's not a pen. It's not the eyes. It's not a thought in the mind. It's something behind the thought. Notice it. That is consciousness. After that, when that idea becomes a little more clear, then you come back here and you will see. Yes.
Last Sunday you spoke about Swamiji who was in the Himalayas, and he said he became aware that he was the witness of the mind.
Yes, that was Swami Sarvapriyananda, I think.
Is this the same way?
Correct. Correct.
So a witness of the mind, but the witness, if he is a witness, doesn't the witness have an object, something?
Yes, certainly.
So, but then the witness,
I know what you're going to ask, but ask it.
yeah, I don't know how to say it, because this is so maddening. As soon as you say something, you have a subject object.
Yes.
Basically,
So are you saying that a witness must have an object?
yeah.
So there are two things, there's subject and object,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Good, it's very good.
That's the witness who has, witnesses the mind.
Witnesses, the witness which is witnessing the mind. So there are two things. Is this your question? That there is a witness and the mind? So isn't it duality?
Yes.
Aren't they separate? To witness something you must be separate. So is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the witness is witnessing.
Yes. So you're asking, isn't there duality? Isn't there separation? And not only that, witnessing seems to be an action. It's performing an action.
Yeah.
All these questions you're asking,
Yeah.
right? Now consider the question. Up to this you're right. There's a witness and its object, subject and object. Now ask the question, what is the relationship between subject and object? Are they separate things? Are they the same? You say, how can the subject and object be the same? But it can be the same. Think about the objects you saw in your dream. They seem to be separate. But when you wake up, you realize it was all in your mind. They are objects, but in your mind, not outside.
Yeah.
Right? Now, those objects, are they separate from the witnessing consciousness? Is the mind separate from consciousness? Or is it an appearance in consciousness?
Yeah.
It seems to be separate.
The moment you name them, they get separate.
Good question. But do they really get separated, or do they seem to be separated because of language?
Of language, they seem to fall out.
They seem to fall out. Very good. They seem to fall out, but they don't actually fall out.
Yeah.
How will you know two things are separate? How will you know two things are separate? Here is a test. If you can experience each thing separately from the other, then you know two things are separate. The classic example is, there's a man, old man comes and has a nice 2D grin, and you think that, are they real teeth or are they dentures? You cannot know as long as you don't see them separately. If you suddenly go to his apartment and you knock and he opens the door and gives you this toothless grin, and you see the denture sitting in a little solution there in a little bowl, then you realize, oh, they are two separate entities. They are not part of his mouth. So you must see them separately. The cap and the pen, are they separate? You see, if I can pull them apart, yeah, they are separate. They are connected now, but they are actually two different entities. Here is a cap, here is a pen. Now apply it to mind and consciousness. You see the mind in consciousness. Clearly, you are aware of thoughts, feelings, ideas, emotions, the person, memories.
Yeah.
And where are you aware? In your awareness, in consciousness. So you are aware of the mind in consciousness. Is it ever possible? Okay. And the consciousness can be there without the mind also, deep sleep or deep meditation when the mind stops for a while, or just moments, gaps between thoughts. So you can have experience of the presence of the mind and absence of the mind. You can logically talk about the absence of the mind, that mind has stopped in meditation, sleep, and so on and so forth. If you can talk about it, that means there was consciousness but no mind. Yogis can talk about it. It's possible. So you can experience consciousness without mind. You can experience consciousness with mind. But can you ever experience the mind without consciousness, like this separately?
No.
Obviously not. The very word experience includes consciousness. You cannot have any experience without consciousness. Therefore, the logic is this. If an item X cannot be experienced without another item A, then that X is not a separate entity apart from A. You have no right to speak of it as an independent entity apart from A. You can never experience a mind apart from consciousness. So the mind is in consciousness, is an appearance in consciousness, does not have a separate existence of its own. Yeah.
I feel I can't take another step back and
You cannot take another step back. Yeah, because you are that one. If you retreat from that position, you are into yourself. There's nothing more beyond that. Correct. Exactly. From that position, you will see mind, body, and the world experienced in the body, they are all experienced in that. Yeah. Imagine, with your eyes open, you can see all this, right? You are there, your mind is there, you the consciousness, your mind is there, eyes are there, and the world is experienced. If you close your eyes, the world is not seen. But is the mind there? So yes, my eyes are closed, I cannot see the world. The mind, that's the mind. I, the consciousness, am I there? Yes, certainly. Now suppose the mind falls silent. World is not seen, eyes are closed, mind falls silent. I, the consciousness, am there. I'm just reporting, I'm just seeing a blankness. Opposite. Suppose world is there, eyes are open, mind is functioning, but you, the consciousness, somehow is switched off. What will remain? Nothing. It's inconceivable. But suppose, logically, if you construct a thought experiment like that, the world is blanked out for you. The universe, everything disappears. That is the reality in which everything appears. Gaudapada takes the counterintuitive, radical step of reducing all of this back into that. What you are saying there is this one. The more you appreciate its non-causal nature, its unchanging nature, its non-dual nature, the more closer you are to realizing your liberation, moksha.
Did you just say that the consciousness also has to go?
No. No, consciousness does not have to go. Nothing has to go. All of them can remain. But you have to realize that this is the only one in which all of these are appearing and disappearing. When they appear, you are not increased thereby. When they disappear, you are not decreased thereby. You are one and the same. They are not separate existences apart from you. Imagine a vast pool in which, I saw that in Canada, in Loon Lake. You can see the sky and the hill and the forests. But sky, hill and forests are not there in the lake. When they are there, they appear in the lake. Without the lake, they cannot appear. When they disappear, it's the same lake. The lake is the reality in which appears all of this.
I know now what I misunderstood. The contents
Yes.
go. So the consciousness can be without.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Mind and world are contents, and the consciousness can be without content, and those contents are not different from consciousness. They are not things like sugar which has been added into milk. Sugar is something from outside which has been added into milk. No. They are the consciousness itself. It is the magical property of the consciousness, call it Maya or whatever. It can appear in so many forms. It can experience itself in so many names and forms. They have no ontologically separate existence, to use a philosophical term. Quickly, the questions, yes.
Okay, so I'm consciousness in a self-driving vehicle, experiencing a virtual reality in a transactional reality, right? Now, as a non-dualist, how do you then perform karma yoga? And the question is this, as a non-dualist, there's no devotion. So what sort of characteristics do you then...
As a non-dualist, there is no, what was the word you used?
Devotion.
No, devotion.
It's not required.
If you have realized non-dualist, your non-dual nature, then your question is, how do you do karma yoga?
Correct.
Why would you want to do karma yoga?
Well, because the pepper is still hot.
The what?
The pepper is still hot. If I take a bite, I'm still in the transactional world, right?
If you are a non-dualist, if you have realized your nature is Turiyam, and you take a bite and you experience the pepper as hot, what is your problem? You are Brahman. It has not done anything to you.
Fine. But in this transactional reality...
And this transactional reality is nothing to you. It's an appearance in you.
True. All I'm trying to think about is how am I supposed to act in terms of karma yoga, right? I'm not doing things for love of God because I'm non-dualist.
Yeah.
So then...
If you are, stop there. If you are non-dualist, nothing prevents you from doing things for the love of God. Or remember, let me repeat this. I'll repeat it 3 times. I'll say it and repeat it twice. The first verse means love of God or devotion is not the ultimate goal according to Gaudapada. The ultimate goal is non-dualism. The love of God, devotion is very useful. So what you said, as a non-dualist, I have no love of God or devotion, wrong. As a non-dualist, you can practice love of God and devotion. We do it here. But that should not be seen as a separate God whom I will attain after death or something like that. That should not be seen as the ultimate worldview. That's what Gaudapada is saying. He's not condemning worship. He's condemning those who are stuck in that mode. And there's nothing more beyond that.
Understood. But if you pass that level...
If you pass that level, this question does not arise anymore. All right, let me give you a direct answer to that. Gita, 4th chapter. Brahma pranam brahmahavi brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmeva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. The instrument is Brahman, the offering is Brahman, the one who offers is Brahman, that which you offer unto is Brahman, the one who sees Brahman in every action attains Brahman. That is karma yoga for the non-dualist.
Just a question, I want to go back to the pen. Is another way to look at it, instead of closing our eyes from I think the Buddhist perspective, if we break down the pen and we say, what is the pen as you were pulling it apart? What constitutes the pen? Is it the molecules of the metal? Is it the ink? And the further we break it down, we begin to see that the pen truly has no identity.
Right.
And that is the same as it applies to us.
Right.
And so with that is the same as the Buddhist concept of emptiness.
Right, absolutely. One Buddhist Lama explained to me, the shunyata which you practice, the emptiness, if you analyze it into constituent parts, you will see there is no entity called the pen apart from its parts. So yeah, okay, but the parts are there, right? This is there, this is a part and this is a part, they are there. But if you analyze this also breaks down into smaller and smaller parts without n. So the pen is an empty entity. There is no entity called a pen. What is the entity called a fist? Where is the fist? So no, but you arrange the fingers are there. But if you analyze the fingers, they're also like that. So things are empty in themselves. This is called dharma shunyata. The objects of the world are empty in themselves. This is Madhyamaka Buddhism. Now one Lama explained to me, this is just a practice. The real thing is to apply it upon oneself. And start with the body, the sensations, the mind, the five skandhas, the 5 pillars of being, the self. And see that the emptiness of the empirical self. This is the place where Advaita and the Buddhist doctrine of no self meet actually. They are not opposed. If you understand them deeply, they are basically saying the same thing. What the Buddhist calls no self, Advaita calls the jiva. This is what Gaudapada has been arguing all along. There is no jiva which is born. The Buddhist says the jiva is an emptiness. There is no jiva as such. Exactly the same thing. This is where they meet actually. Quickly, let's hear the questions. Yes, you first, and then we will go on because we have run out of time.
Maharaj, can Maya and Avidya be used interchangeably, or Maya is at a cosmic level?
Maya is at a cosmic. That's technically Maya is at a cosmic level. Avidya is what we experience ourselves.
In your Drishya Viveka lecture 4, you mentioned that you mentioned the bucket concept, that we are given this bucket and the water in this is all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you also mentioned that the Indian spiritual doctrine is ways for us to enjoy the current bucket we are in. So what kind of tools can we use to enhance the first three parts of the mind, like the buddhi, ahankara, manas?
Oh, okay. That's a different question altogether. So here we are talking about akarpaṇyam vakṣyāmi. Look at the project. We are talking about the end things, the ultimate questions, the infinite. How can I build up my body and reduce body mass, and whether gluten-free is better than gluten diet and all? These are good. I know you're not asking that. You're asking a subtler question. But it falls in the same category. How can I refine my what are called upadhis in Vedanta? Body, mind. How can I make the pot a better pot? You can. But Gaudapada is not interested. Are there technologies for that? Of course. Ayurveda will tell you something. Yoga will tell you something. Bhakti will tell you something. Dharma will tell you something. There are these entire philosophies which help you to live a much better life in this world. And you can employ them. You can employ modern positive psychology. Seligman talks about it. In order to increase our happiness, he says the components of happiness. Pleasure is a component of happiness. How can you increase pleasure? Modern psychology can actually talk about how our senses can be enhanced by paying more attention, seeing, tasting, slowing down and savoring every experience. Actually, you get more pleasure out of the simplest of experiences. People rush through it, especially in New York. They'll order a meal and pay hundreds of dollars for it and rush through it because they have no time. And what is the happiness there? Very little. It's just an excitement, gone, finished, move on, next thing. So savor it. A simple bowl of soup savored over 20 minutes before it gets cold. It can give much more pleasure than this. So how to enhance the pleasures of the senses? Seligman talks about it. Then go further. How to enhance the pleasures of the mind? Study, appreciation of art, concentration, focus. Whole psychology has been built up in it. Go further. Seligman says more pleasure comes out, more joy comes out of meaningful life. How to get a more meaningful life? For example, where you involve other people, where you do something which benefits other people, where you are sacrificing the little self into the vaster, that actually makes the little self much happier. And you can see here why that is so. That is akarpaṇyam. That is, kripana means limited, the miserly. The non-miserly one is much happier. So yes, there are vast technologies dealing with that. I mean, that's a subject for many, many lectures. And worthwhile, really. How you can enhance happiness in this life. What Gaudapada says, ultimately none of them are of any use because they are within causality, within change, and within duality. They will all lead to unhappiness in the end. In the end, you will be left with ashes, dust to dust, ashes to ashes, always. Except when you realize the true nature of yourself, then you turn back upon the world and apply these things. Use causality and change and duality to your advantage. You will have the perfect life. All right, it's a good thing to end the discussion on. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.